Hello, my name is Kurt Gibson, and on behalf of the entire IHSA staff, I'd like to welcome you to this presentation designed to help schools still alive in the IHSA Boys Basketball State Series begin some of their planning for the state finals. While there are still a few games left to play in the tournament, the turnaround from Super Sectional Monday night to the start of play on Thursday is really quick. And so over the years, we've tried to help our membership by developing some presentations and other materials to help get you sort of in the mode and mindset of what the state finals might be like and start doing some planning in advance. So we really appreciate your leadership. The weekend will be a quick one for those schools that make it to the state finals, and it will be as successful as all of our being able to work together and how smoothly that's able to go. So we truly appreciate your leadership, not only up until this point, but as we move forward for the rest of the season. If you have questions, you see my email address here, please reach out to me. I want to try to help you as much as I can, and I'd rather help you on the front end than having us trying to figure stuff out, when there's all kinds of time constraints on us at the state finals. So after viewing this, please feel free to reach out as necessary. Following your school's super sectional win, however, you should receive a box like you see here on this slide. And this box contains in it all kinds of information designed to get you from that moment to the state finals. Instead of going through all of that tonight, I just want to hit on a few topics just to get your mind starting to think a little bit so you can begin making some decisions should your school continue to advance in the state series. So let's first talk about lodging. The Visit Champaign County Convention and Visitors Bureau has made arrangements with a number of properties in the Champaign area to reserve 15 rooms for your school's use during the state finals weekend. All costs associated with those rooms is paid for by each member school, although the IHSA office will provide a stipend to each school, and you'll receive that stipend from our office by the end of March. The stipend is a sort of it's a two-part kind of payment. You'll receive a minimum amount of money as a flat fee, and then you'll have some additional dollars added to that for travel. There's information in the super sectional box. There's information in the terms and conditions on that. Right now, I just want you to be aware of a couple of things. One, all costs associated with participating at the state finals are the responsibility of the member school, but there will be a stipend that your school will receive by the end of March that'll help offset some, but not all of those costs. Now, the rooms that have been reserved for your school are all a short drive away from the State Farm Center. And in the super sectional box is information not only with the hotel that have the rooms that have been reserved for your school, but a contact person and contact information for that person at the hotel. And we would encourage you to make contact with the hotel as quickly as you can following your game so that you can begin the planning process for those rooms with the hotel. You'll also receive in the super sectional box the name of a team host for your school that weekend. And the host is designed to just sort of help you with the Champaign-Urbana area, maybe getting around, scheduling a practice, finding a place for a team meal, whatever it might be. They're really there to help make your stay that much more enjoyable, take some things off the plate of your coach or your team, or maybe even yourself if possible. If you were to have any questions about your hotel or who your team host is, I also wanted to provide information for our contact at the Visit Champaign County Convention and Visitors Bureau, and that gentleman's name is Mike Kuhn. You see Mike's number here on the slide, and Mike is a super great guy, and he'll be willing to work with you with any question you or your coaches might have. The second thing I want to touch on is tickets. And I can't emphasize this enough. In order to have a seat at the State Farm Center, a person will need to have a ticket. And that goes for anyone. A person needs a ticket to have a seat. A little later in this presentation, we'll talk about credentials, and credentials allow access in the arena in places the regular fan won't be able to go. but to have a seat, a person needs a ticket. You'll have 3 types of tickets you'll be able to sell to your fans. And on the next slide, we're going to look at a layout of the State Farm Center and talk about what those seats look like, which of those areas are actual hard tickets and which tickets will be digital in nature. So we'll go through that here shortly. Also wanted you to be aware that there will be metal detectors at the state finals, and that's per State Farm Center policy. The arena also has a clear bag policy, and the event will be cashless, so for concessions, for example. So we just want you to be aware of that. There will be more information in the super sectional box. I'm going to cover that again here later in this presentation, but just want you to be aware of that to share with people in your communities. Okay, let's talk about the tickets that you'll have to sell. There'll be tickets in 3 different areas each school will have to sell. Only one of those 3 areas, however, will be actual hard tickets. And those will be tickets for your high school students who will be able to come down on the floor and be in the Orange Crush area. For those of you that watch University of Illinois men's basketball, the Orange Crush is their student section, if you will. It's located right behind the bench. Fans are good, pumped up, rowdy, and all that kind of good stuff. And we're going to make that area available to the participating schools during each game. In your super sectional box, you'll have an envelope that has 125 tickets that you can sell to high school students for the first game that your school will play at the state finals, and then another 125 tickets that you can sell to students at your high school for the second game your team will play. To get into this section, a student will need not only a ticket, but also a wristband. And in your box, your super sectional box, are 2 sets of 125 wristbands. So students will be wearing their wristband and have their ticket in order to get into this section down on the floor. Without both, they will not be able to get down there. So please make sure your students know they're going to need both their ticket and their wristband. We've also included in the super sectional box 2 additional passes, credentials, for student section supervisors for you to distribute, hopefully to some teachers or deans or some adults that will help you as administrators watch your fans and monitor them down in this area. Those credentials will get those people down to the floor as well. And what we're going to do this year is in these sections, and you see this student section area bordered by the red box here. It's around sections 9 and 10. There will be 125 chairs in that area for 125 students. And for the first game, for example, that's going to be played, only students from the school by that bench will be in that area. Their opponents will be on the other side, probably in sections that you see here, 12 and 13. And those will be the only fans, student fans in that area for the game their school is playing. When the game ends, those fans will leave, and we'll need your help as administrators and the student section supervisors to move those students, help us move them out. Once we get them out, we'll bring in the student fans for game 2 of the session. So there won't be any mingling about of students in both games of a session. It'll simply be when your school's playing, your student fans will come in. When your school's game is done, they'll leave. But those students will need a wristband and their ticket. The next area of tickets you'll have to sell, and these will be digital tickets that I'm about to describe, are those that you see bordered by the blue box. And each school will have 138 tickets in this 100 or lower level at the State Farm Center to sell to their fans for both games that their team would play. In the super sectional box, there's a letter with a designated code for those seats. So you'll be able to share that with maybe parents, teachers, board members, whomever you decide. And then there will be a large number of tickets, also digital, and they'll also have a unique code that folks will be able to enter to buy online in the 200 level of State Farm Center. And those will typically be in one of the corners of the arena. So you have those 3 sets of tickets to sell, but only the student section ones down on the floor are hard tickets. The others will be digital, and you can share those codes with individuals as you see fit. Your team and your cheerleaders will be able to enter State Farm Center off the northeast lot, which is on 4th Street, as you see here on this slide. When you come off of 4th Street, you'll see where the opening is that brings the team and the cheerleaders underneath the arena. That's where our team security entrance is, and only the team and only the cheerleaders are people we want coming through that area. What we really are trying to do here at the state finals, and this is going to be something likely that's a little different than you've experienced during the season, but with so many moving parts to this event, we really want to create the safest environment possible. And to do that, we have to limit the number of folks who are under the arena. And so only through the team security entrance do we want the team coming in and the cheerleaders. And the cheerleaders will have their credentials when they come down for their first game. The first time your team comes to State Farm Center, we're going to provide them with their credentials. So in the super sectional box, there are no team credentials. We're going to talk more about that in a second. When your bus or school vehicle has unloaded your teams or cheerleaders, they'll be able to back right out of that tunnel area, and they'll be directed to park there along 4th Street in a circular kind of area. But State Farm Center staff will help you and help your team with that. We mentioned already the clear bag policy and the metal detectors. Again, this information is in your super sectional box. It's available online. Just the more we can have you spread that word so people aren't caught off guard when they show up in Champaign, the better. So we thank you in advance for your help there. Now let's talk a little bit about credentials, because the credentials, as I alluded to earlier, provide access inside the arena. They do not carry with them a seat. If someone is going to want a seat, they're going to have a ticket. What you see here on this slide are examples of the credentials your teams will receive when they show up at the State Farm Center for their first game. See, we got them color-coded by class. Those, as I said, will be distributed when those teams arrive. And we're going to talk about who gets those credentials shortly. There are also 3 administrative passes. Those are available at the will call window at the State Farm Center box office. Those are under the principal's name. So we're going to ask that person to show up at the will call window, get those passes, and then distribute them to other school administrators. The cheerleading passes are in the super sectional box, so you'll be able to distribute those to your 12 cheerleaders, and you're only allowed 12 cheerleaders on the floor during any of the games your school plays. There's a pass for a mascot if you have one. If not, then you just won't use that. And then there's a credential in there for your cheerleading sponsor or coach, however you designate that person to be. But those passes will be in the super sectional box. And then finally, there could be a medical personnel pass if you have a certified athletic trainer or team physician that works with your team. That pass will be given to that person by our medical coordinator. We'll provide them a list of those schools that have either certified athletic trainers or team physicians. They'll vet those individuals and make sure they are properly licensed, and then our medical officer will provide that credential to those folks from your school. So the only passes that you see here that are going to be in your super sectional box are the ones for cheerleaders. Administrative passes, the principal will pick up at will call. The team passes will be distributed when your team arrives, and likely your medical pass if you have a trainer or a team physician working with your team. That'll be distributed when those individuals arrive as well. So the folks on your team who are going to receive one of the competing team credentials will need to be on this team list. And this is a sample of something you'll find in the super sectional box. And we would ask that you return that, complete that, and return that to me no later than noon on Wednesday, March 8th. We're going to use this list to check people in and make sure we know who's coming in and who's with your team. This is the list where you will designate who your players are going to be, who your coaches are that have met all the coaching requirements. And then if you have room, meaning you haven't used all 22 slots, if you have a high school manager or staff person, they can be listed as well. But sometimes when we get further into the tournament, some of those folks that have done those roles, manager, statistician, they don't make their way to this list because you've got too many players and too many coaches. We're very firm on this list of 22. So you can fill that out, send that to me, and that'll be the list we use to check your group in and out when they arrive at the state finals. And they'll be coming in. These are the only people that we would expect to come in through that Northeast team security entrance on the days that your school's playing. We will then use that team list to create your awards form. And you see an example of that here on this slide. We'll add in the administrators and a medical person, if you have one, to the team list. And then these will be the individuals who participate in the awards ceremony. And awards will be given out for the teams playing in the championship games on Saturday. Those awards will be given out immediately following the championship game. So on Saturday, the Class 1A championship game will be played first. Once that game's over, we'll distribute the first and second place awards, clear the floor, bring the teams out for the 2A game. When the 2A game's done, we'll give out the awards for that class. On Thursday and Friday, however, the third and fourth place awards will be given out, and those awards will be given out following the conclusion of the second, third, and fourth place game played in the evening. For example, on Thursday night, in the final session, the Class 1A third and fourth place game will be played, and then the Class 2A third and fourth place game will be played. Once the Class 2A third and fourth place game is finished, the awards for both the 1A and the 2A will be distributed. So all four of those teams will be on the floor. We'll go through the awards ceremony, and that will conclude the night. We'll do the same thing on Friday for Class 3A and 4A. There's information in the super sectional box about what that process and procedure looks like, and we'll talk more about it when we have our administrative meeting for all the teams that do qualify for Champaign on the Tuesday following the super sectional games, which are on Monday, March the 6th this year. So more to follow on that, but just wanted you to be aware this awards list will be something that gets created by our office based on your team list. Thanks again for watching this video. Really trying to, as I said in the beginning, just trying to get you thinking about some things so that, you know, that week, that state finals week, which will be a blur. I've been doing this, you know, for over 2 decades now, and that's the one thing I've come to appreciate in talking with school leaders like yourself. The week is a blur. A lot happens, particularly from the end of the game Monday until you show up at the state finals on Thursday or Friday. So really just wanted to get you thinking about a few things. There'll be plenty of information in the super sectional box. We will be having an administrators meeting on Tuesday. We'll be giving you more information about that. But after watching this, if you have some questions, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to help you. You see my email address here on this slide. And so thank you again for viewing this presentation. Good luck to your school the rest of the way this season. And we just hope that you have a safe and enjoyable week.